There's a debate online whether or not Sinners is actually a horror movie, but you've landed on this channel and this particular show, Killer Cuts, so you know what side of the fence we're on. More on that debate coming up in the following chapter of Killer Cuts. Stay tuned. Well, I know where I stand as far as that debate we talked about at the beginning goes. I believe Sinners to be a horror movie. In fact, vampire movies are definitely horror movies. But I can understand where some people are coming from because, again, when this thing first dropped, I didn't know a whole lot about it. I saw a movie called Sinners. I saw that Michael B. Jordan was in it and saw that Ryan Coogler directed it. And already I was sold, regardless of what the context of the film was. I went in blind, did not know I was walking into a horror movie. Did not know what kind of experience I would get. And oh boy, it was an experience. I'm Bobby Munson, and beside me, as always, it's Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, going into this, did you know it was a horror movie? And what were your thoughts coming out of this? Like, this was interesting.
So I'll say yes and no because I knew obviously Michael B. Jordan was on it and I knew there was vampires involved, but that was all I knew about it. I remember watching like bits and pieces of the trailer, but not the entire thing. So I feel like I almost went blind into it in a way. But I had seen so many people talking about it that I was curious and I wanted to know what the movie was like. And it's definitely not what I thought it was gonna be. It's like, and then at the end I was like, I did watch a horror movie, didn't I? Another one for the list.
Yeah, and again, even as I begin watching the film, the first part of this film has nothing horror based about it, kind of thing. We will begin right there with the beginning. It's set in 1932, taking place in around Mississippi, I believe. A couple of twin brothers, the Moore brothers, both portrayed by Michael B. Jordan. They were both World War I veterans, I believe, and they come back from like the Chicago's criminal underworld to this area of Mississippi kind of thing, and they kind of want to just take over. It almost seems almost like a bit of old-timey gangster related type feel to it at first, because they sell you on the coming from the criminal underworld of Chicago. Here they've got this money, they're going to start this club. You expect kind of that the filtering of money through this club kind of situation in a 1932 kind of Western setting. I was built up for that type of movie at this point in time, and it does take you through that journey for a good portion of the first third, I guess, of the film. I was already sold. I mean, again, Michael B. Jordan, I love this guy. This guy is a fantastic actor, and I was happy to see it. But the rest of the cast that's involved here as well, too, really back him up in such a beautiful way. The acting throughout this is brilliant. That's one of the centerpieces of this whole movie, is the acting is absolutely phenomenal. Initial thoughts, that first third of the movie, or anything particular that stood out in that portion of it for you?
I think more of like the historical aspect of it, because we see a lot of like segregation and racism. Everything's divided up here. And even when they're building up everything for the club here from the ground up, they're actually only including Black people as they're doing this club, if only for Black people to be involved in it, only for them to enjoy it as well, knowing that they don't have a lot of spaces to belong in really at that time based on the historical aspect here. And I think one thing that really stood out to me was really the wardrobe, because even not only the setting, but like the wardrobe itself from each one of the characters makes you feel like you're in that time frame, right in that time zone there, as well there. And I really like that aspect of it, because it just makes like I feel like it transports me back in time, and I feel like I'm back in that time as I'm watching this, and it just makes me feel like very interesting just thinking about how they use something. It might seem kind of simple if you think about it that way, but it's something that's really important that feels very accurate here with the time frame as well.
And speaking on that time frame, one key element when doing a film like this is costume design, set design, two big things when making a movie to make you feel like you're in that time. And I think that those were both brilliantly done as well, too. I thought that they drew you into that time frame. They made you feel like you were living through it with them. And that is part of the experience of what makes this movie So well done. The thing is that every element of this movie has to work in perfect harmony, and it does. And that is one of the major keys that maybe even goes overlooked by most moviegoers, is being able to draw you into that picture of what they're trying to paint.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the biggest details. Not only the wardrobe, but also I think the dialogue in itself, the way they talk to each other gives you back to that time frame too. And I feel like it's those kind of details that draw you into in the timeline of the history of where we're at in the movie. And I feel like they did really well with it. And like the detailing here was spectacular, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And I guess when we're looking at this first third or first major act to this particular film, I can see why a lot of people out there is this online debate going on. Is it actually a horror film? And for years I've always defended movies that people don't always feel are horror films. I'm like, if it's got some sort of horror element, whether it be thriller or some sort of monster element to it kind of thing, if it falls into any of those types of categories that could in some way be classified horror, to me it's horror. Horror is kind of like a lump sum of a bunch of subsidiaries of the film industry that come together make horror. And I think Sinners is 100% that. It's not just that though, too. It's very horrific when it gets to the horror, but it does so well with its musical pieces. Again, the music is brilliant throughout, especially the unexpected like song and dances that we inevitably get later once the club actually opens up and everything. Some of those, I'm sitting there watching this glued to the screen and thinking to myself, like, is this for real? Like, is this actually happening? I was so glued to it and so stunned by the shock of it, like not expecting that they would go this path, especially in this type of film. I was drawn. I loved every element of it. I love that music. How did that work for you too? The music side of it.
I really loved it. I feel like it also made me connect to like the heritage aspect of it. I feel like that's another thing with the music, you see how they celebrate how proud they are, where they come from, and their roots, and you can see that throughout the music there too. I feel like it's another big factor to this movie. I just feel like so many like bullet points in my mind that I kept thinking like it makes me connect to the movie even more. And the music was definitely one of them too. And I feel like they use it pretty wisely in the movie, especially one of the main actors. Trying to remember his name, but I think it was Bell, if I'm not mistaken, with the guitar. Like he does so well with the guitar there. It's just so amazing to watch him sing. So I hope he does sing a little bit later. Trying to remember his name though, the one of the main characters too. But again, he did very great with it in every single scene he was in, and I feel like he's one of those people like my attention was drawn to him because of the guitar too.
Yeah, I agree. So when we get into the horrific part, and the horrific part comes about when we now find out that there are vampires. So Remick being the leader of this vampire group, we see, like when they introduce it, it's all of a sudden there's this scene where this couple lets somebody in that seems to be in trouble and stuff like this. And for a moment, my brain's going, what is this and why is this here in the movie? Like, what is going on? What is this going to reveal to me? So I'm trying to pick it apart. And when we finally get that reveal, Remick, and now this is his vampire army that he's starting, and now he's lurking outside the club. And I love how this was old-timey vampire type style. There was nothing glamorous about it. These are vampires. They need to be invited into a place in order to gain entry to it. Sunlight is not their friend. Garlic's not their friend. Every element of a classic vampire tale was on display here, but in a way that, in my mind, arguably with the acting and the design of this thing, could find itself inserted into award season. I really feel strongly that Ryan Coogler has created something worthy of, in the horror genre, worthy of Oscar talk come award season.
Yeah, and I looked it up. The character was Sammy, and the actor's Mouse Kenton. But he did really well. But I watching this part of it, I was just more paying attention to the historical aspect of it, of like the certain group that was represented in the scene that you're talking about, because I don't want to mention it. But then I was curious, like, okay, how does this go back to what, 'cause, the beginning, because we start the beginning of Sammy's character, Sammy the character like going into the church with like something happened, and he's the only one basically that survived the whole thing. So in my mind, I'm thinking, what did he really survive? And then I see this in that particular scene when the person's going into the house, they get welcomed in, and it's like, how is that connected to what happened to him at the beginning that we saw? Um, so in my mind, I'm trying to connect the dots here and there. And once I saw it was a particular person, I forgot who, that asked about being let in, and that's when I went, oh no, I like my vampires that shine, but this one doesn't shine, unfortunately. I can tell you that
Oh no.
much. In my mind, I looked at my person next to me, was like, yeah, this is definitely the vampire movie. And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, this one doesn't shine, they need to be let in, that whole thing. And me being growing up in a Christian household, and my mom always like taught me, don't we don't have any welcome mats in our house, because it's one of those things that's very spiritual in that aspect of it. And it reminded me of that too when they asked to be like welcomed in, and my person went, oh, so this is why your mom doesn't have the welcome mats in there. And just like every time we could think of that, it just made me laugh thinking about it later. But yeah, it's like when they started asking about permission and going, that's when I went, I told them, oh yeah, they definitely had to be let back in because they're definitely not themselves anymore. Just letting you know. But yeah, I just that's what the part that when it really clicked for me, and I was like, oh, they're vampires. Interesting. And I was like, I like the story here because not only the aspect of the vampires, but the aspect that all these people in the club are almost like family to each other. So like naturally they want to let the person in because they know who they are. It's not just like a stranger in your house and you're like, I'm not gonna let you in. No, these are people that they know. So obviously you want to say, I'm gonna let you in, but at the same time you're like, wait, why'd you ask me to do that when you were just inside a few minutes ago? And I love that aspect of it when they're like, wait a minute. But I love that part when they make the connection themselves because they don't even know what's happening either, and we're finding out at the same time as they are as well, which I feel like it doesn't happen a lot in those kind of scenarios.
Yeah, and honestly, this was one of my favorite scenes, despite the fact that there is some fantastic gore throughout this. That whole conversation and the realization, and when they're just kind of
Mhm.
like playing with the mind of this person that they know has turned at this point, because the reveal's like, well, why do you
Mhm.
need to be invited? Why would we have to do that? You were just here. And that everything about that, I am laughing, but you're supposed to be laughing. This
Mhm.
was a
Mhm.
strong comedy moment that kind of pinpoints, something humorous in the horror genre,
Mhm.
like a vampire needing to be let in. But what if it's somebody you know? Why would they? Like,
Mhm.
you get so comfortable with the people that your friends and your family that it's like it's an open door, come on in, kind of thing.
Mhm.
You don't need to be invited to pass the threshold. So well done, very well done. The writing, the directing, the acting, all brilliant throughout this. Now let's talk about that gore, because that's the kind of show this is. We like to talk about the violence in our horror movies. Oh my goodness. I'm like, this is for a movie, like, again, for an original, this, I gotta pinpoint this original movie. We don't get that very
Mhm.
often. Original movie. So the gore in this was top notch. These vampires were mean, they were vicious, and they were hungry. And some of those scenes, like the chomping of the side of the collarbone here, kind of
Mhm.
thing, and it's just a
Yeah.
big chunk of it right out. The special effects makeup done to make these vampires look the way they are and to make the
Mhm.
violence look the way it did was an absolute chef's kiss, of true delight as a fan of horror movies. I loved it. What are your thoughts on these horrific scenes of Sinners?
Yeah, I especially thought about it when Haley Stanfield's character goes outside. I'm trying to remember her character too. I should have written all these uh characters' names in here because there's so many people in this cast. But when the group of vampires try to come in and they basically don't let them in, and Haley's like, "Well, maybe they tell her, oh, they have money. We need the money for the club tonight." And she's like, let me find my way to try to see what they have." And I like the fact when she goes out there, you don't see the kill. But then when she takes a little bit too long at first, I'm like, yeah, this one's coming back not the way they really hope she does. And when
Yeah.
she comes back acting like almost like herself, it takes them a little bit longer for all of them to like really notice it here. And the one that really broke me, and I don't know if you feel the same way, I need to know when poor cornbread went outside to take a little moment to take a little break. And I
Yeah.
just went, oh, cornbread, we're not gonna see you again, are we? I felt
No.
really bad. Um, That one, and there's one that happened right after his, like exactly by the door as well. And that one was another one where they kind of got them kind of by the neck in the back area. And once they did, I went, oof, that one was rough. Um, but I love the fact that they also use that human connection to their advantage too, because we do get the Asian couple, like the wife is inside and the husband went outside to get the car, and then all of a sudden he's like looking at her, and they're like telling her, don't go after him because that's not your husband anymore. And then the other vampires are just saying, we're gonna go to your child, and she's like, well, I have to do something about it. But I like how they use that to their advantage. And same thing with Eileen Steinfeld's character, Mary, that she uses that connection that she has with her boyfriend or her love interest, to put it like that's Michael B. Jordan there. And she has that moment that she connects with him, but she also takes advantage of it to actually turn him into a vampire as well. So you see like that connection that they have. They actually take the people that they love and adore and use them basically to convert the other people that are not vampires yet. So I thought that was very another like interesting aspect of it. But one of the ones that hurt me the most was definitely cornbread.
Oh yeah, cornbread's was tough. It really is. He's such a lovable guy. There, so it is great. Great that they made you love a character so much that you would feel that bad in that particular scene, which
Mhm.
is a testament to the brilliance of the writing to draw somebody in. And yeah, it just this is a plus movie for me. I really do. I think I'm going to go on a limb and say that it's going to be hard to displace this as one of my favorite movies this year. I had no expectations going in, and I
Mhm.
left the most satisfied I have after seeing a film in a very long time. And I like a lot of movies, but this one stands out for me. Before I go and let people know what the Rotten Tomatoes score was and what the over there, anything else that you wanted to add to this one,
Mhm.
Astrid?
As I say, if even if you haven't seen the trailer, I would definitely give it the chance and see how you feel even after the movie, because I almost went into it blind and I really enjoyed myself with it. It was one of those like I definitely would recommend to anybody. Like I said, it's like it has some moments that you do laugh. It has some moments that makes you want to cry, and it has those moments that has a horror. So I like the that we have a really well balanced movie with this one, and I feel like you said, it's an original one. It's not something that I expected to see this year, especially around this time frame again, because it's not close to even Halloween season. But again, it's like I feel like it really stood out even around this time frame, because we see how much money has been in the box office already as it is, and all the people that are supporting it. So it's nice to see it happening, and I hope we get more originals that kind of like this, that are a little bit different in that sort of way, and something I wasn't expecting to begin with.
And more Ryan Coogler movies because damn it, that man makes great movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, put him behind the director's chair and then put Michael B. Jordan in all the movies that you can. That is the way to go about it. But yes, everybody did a great job. Absolutely fantastic. And I will say that critics tend to agree. 357 reviews on the Rotten Tomato meter and a 97% average. And as far as it goes with verified ratings from the fans over 25,000 reviews have come in. 96%. You cannot argue with those numbers. Not only do people love this, but it is done, but like you said, very well at the box office, to the tune of, I think, around $280 million, which was completely unexpected. In some ways, again, this didn't have the kind of marketing
Mhm.
power behind it that you see a lot of films have. And I think that this became a very big word of mouth. It became somebody went to it, saw it, recommended it,
Mm.
and then other people followed in those footsteps. And that's the magic of some great movies. And that's the magic of Sinners, I believe. And I believe that this is a movie that's popularity is only going to continue to rise once it hits digital platforms, once it hits streaming, once more of a wider audience gets to see it. I think this is going to be talked about for a long, long time. One of my favorites this year. It's definitely going to rank up there. Astrid, final thoughts on Sinners?
Yeah, overall, I feel like they did great. Like I said, from the historical aspect, it was very accurate to the wardrobe, the music. I feel like they really balance each other out so well. Also the family connection, that kind of like found family kind of trope that we get sometimes in movies. Overall, I enjoyed myself. It was one of those movies that had me at the edge of my seat with everything happening, and I loved it really from beginning to end.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, that is going to wrap that up. Astrid, why don't you let people know outside of Killer Cuts, what do you got going on and where can the people reach you?
You can find me on every Tuesday with OLED Enterprise, talking about NXT on taking over. Every now and then, hopefully, my co-host Mel and I, we do an episode of Ladies Wrestling Showcase. We do have an episode with the Queen of the Movie review that we did recently. That is on my YouTube channel as well. You can find me on my Twitter and Blue Skies Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram and Threads Astrid Pizarro 20. And if you're here, you're most likely on my YouTube channel, so hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet.
You bet. Keep those subs coming for Astrid. I'm Bobby Munson over on the X Real Bobby Munson Instagram threads, Video Bros SK, Twitch. I'm Video Bro _ Bobby Munson, and on Blue Sky Bobby Munson. What do I got coming up Thursday night? You can catch myself and Papa Smokes doing Ring Respect Radio, where we talk about independent wrestling, the history of professional wrestling, and we also have a live trivia game that we do as well too once a month. So stay tuned for that. Saturday afternoons, myself and Papa Smokes are the commentary team for Prairie Pro Wrestling. You can catch new episodes of Prairie Pro Wrestling every single Saturday afternoon. And then I am here with the crew for Point of View every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where we give you your weekly sports updates. But you can find all that stuff at that ticker you've seen below us here today. It's OLE Podcast. Check us out over all social media, as well as YouTube and Twitch. Make sure that you're giving a subscribe, hitting the notification bell, giving us a thumbs up, and leaving us a comment. We're always looking for those comments, always looking to get back to you on anything that you want to ask or maybe suggest. If you have something you'd like us to review here on Killer Cuts, we want to hear from you. So go ahead and make your suggestions in the comments below. But until the next chapter, that's it for us. Take care.